Great Scott! I'm Angella Sharpe, and welcome to the Daily Mix. I do kind of look like someone's grandma, but this is actually a Doc Brown costume. And if you're wondering why I'm in costume, it's because Bob Gale is going to be live in studio with me today. Of course, we are going to talk about how he is the co-creator and producer of Back to the Future, the musical, but he's also co-creator and producer of all three Back to the Future movies as well. We are going to get into a lot of stuff, but that is not all. Tim Lampley was able to catch up with Ice Cube. I'm so excited to check out this interview. So we have a great show full of Ice Cube and Bob Gale. So we can like do, you know, the Back to the Future song. And we can also, we be clubbing. I'm so excited. I hope you're excited too. Stay tuned. Let's get started on today's Daily Mix. Okay, so today we're gonna do things a little bit differently because I mentioned to you at the top of the show, we're gonna have Bob Gale and Ice Cube on the show. And those guys need a lot more time because I think we all have a lot of questions for both Ice Cube and Bob Gale. Now, Tim Lampley got the chance to catch up with Ice Cube before his recent performance here in St. Louis. Take a look at this.
Rapper and actor Ice Cube has been on our screens and airways for over 3 decades, from dropping iconic tracks with NWA to starring in classic films like Friday and Barbershop. He's done it all. And guess what? He's on the road touring, bringing that legendary hip-hop sound to fans across the country. He's here with us today to tell us what fans can expect and more. Ice Cube, how are you, my friend?
Yeah. What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What made you want to hit the road again?
I'm always on the road, you know. There's always, shows booked, and we've done Australia, we've done the UK, we've done Canada. Now we doing shows in America, and we, hitting spots that, normally I usually don't hit. When you have almost 40 years of music, you want to make sure you go everywhere. So, it's cool that we get a chance to hit the factory on September 15th right there in St. Louis. So just extremely happy to be coming back to the town.
Awesome. Now, some people have described you as one of the greatest rappers of all time. Can you name 3 others that you would put in that category in no particular order?
Wow. There's been some great rappers over the years. Of course, I'm a personal fan of Lil Wayne. I think he, is incredibly talented. His metaphors are off the chart. But I want to give a shout out to some of my OGs like Chuck D and from Public Enemy and KRS-One and Melly Mel and Ice-T. These guys set the tone for the kind of rap that I do. So I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, your real name is O'Shea, but you got your stage name from your brother who threatened to slam you into a freezer and pull you out when you were an Ice Cube. Is that true?
Yeah, my brother CJ, he's 9 years older than me. So, when I became a teenager, about maybe 12, when I got about 12, his girlfriends would call all the time and he was never home. So I started to try to mack him down and he was just getting irritated with me. And so back in the day, when you was done with a refrigerator, you would put it out on your curb and the city would come pick it up. And it was a refrigerator on the curb for about 2 weeks. It didn't move, and he said, that refrigerator down the street, I'm going to throw you in there. And when they pull you out, you're going to be Ice Cube. And so I just kind of took the name. When when I went outside, I was like, yo, my name Ice Cube, you know, so everybody had to really try to you know, I mean, keep up with that. You know, I was just letting them know, yo, don't call me O'Shea no more, man. Just call me Cube. Yeah.
What a funny story. I do want to ask you, though, before we let you go, we only have you for a few minutes, but tell me what fans can expect at your show.
They can expect almost 40 years of hip hop. You know, I've been doing it for a long time. And, you know, it's been a great part of my career. I love doing music. And so what they're going to see is songs from NWA all the way to the new stuff. So, and everything in between. And, you know, if you're an Ice Cube fan, you can't miss it.
Thanks so much for joining us today, my friend. I'm sure that we're all going to check out your show, and the best of luck to everything that you do in the future.
I hope you were able to check out Ice Cube in concert. I wonder if he sang "We Be Clummin'." I really like that song. But you know what? There's another fun connection here. So Bob Gale, who's going to be in studio in just a second, he actually also co-wrote another movie called Trespass. That movie was set in East St. Louis and had Ice Cube and Ice-T in that movie. I don't think you realize how many movies Bob Gale has written. It is pretty awesome, but he's gonna come here. We're mostly gonna talk about Back to the Future of the musical. So why don't I show you the trailer for Back to the Future the musical?
Great start! This is Dr. Emmett L. Brown, and this is my time machine.
A time machine?
You're a slacker, McFly!
I gotta get back in time. 1955.
Hey, McFly! I thought I told you never to come in here.
And if they don't meet, they won't fall in love. They won't get married, and neither you nor siblings will ever be born.
Whoa, this is heavy. You don't need money, don't take fame. Don't need no credit card to ride this train. It's strong and it's sudden, but it's cool sometimes. But it might just save your life. That's the power of
How great does that trailer for the musical look? I had to have none other than Bob Gale, the book co-producer and co-creator of Back to the Future the musical, with me. Thank you so much for joining me.
Pleasure to be here, Angela. Pleasure to be here.
And that's not all you did. You also co-created and co-produced all three of the movies, which I love, and you're local, well, originally local.
I grew up in University City, attended University City High School, graduated in 1969. I had this crazy idea that I wanted to go to California and make movies, and I did it.
I don't know that you know, but let's see if you know how important that is for other people living in this area to think that maybe someday they can get out and they can make movies that are so iconic. Next year will be the
40th anniversary of Back to the Future,
Yeah.
1985 to 2025, 40 years. Yes, it is possible to do it. You just have to have the gumption, if you will. It's hard to leave home. It's hard to go someplace where you don't know anybody.
Yeah.
It's easier today because you can keep in touch with people with digital media and so forth. But nevertheless, and it takes a cast iron constitution, because the original script of Back to the Future, which was conceived in 1980, first two drafts 1981, and was rejected 42 times before we finally got it into pre-production in 1984. So the idea that you can get rejected and rejected and rejected and rejected, but you just have to keep on going on, it's very tough. It is very tough.
I love that story because even what I do, there's a lot of rejection in what I do over and over and over again, but you stuck with it. What made you and Robert know that we have to stick with this idea?
This was a story that we loved. And Bob and I always had the approach, the movies that we make are the movies that we want to see.
Right.
We're not doing a movie for money. We're doing it because this is a great story. We want to tell this story. And this was a story that we felt was very unique and very special. And somehow we had to get this on the screen.
You had to do it. Now, we talked about it, 40 years. Next year will be 40 years. Did you have any idea, and you knew it was good because you stayed with it, but did you have any idea 40 years later it would be as big as it is now?
We had no idea it was going to be as big as it was when it was released. It was the #1 movie of the year 1985. It was a huge hit all over the world. It was such a big hit that there were 2 sequels.
Right.
But then the idea that it would just keep on going and going, and kids that saw the movie when it came out, they would grow up and then they would show the movie to their kids, and their kids love it.
Right.
And now we're in another generation. But Bob and I were always resolute that there would never be a Back to the Future Part 4, because we always felt that we've told the story that we want to tell, and we don't want to like squeeze every dollar out of it. You've seen some franchises where they go back to the well too many times. We didn't want to be those guys. But at a certain point, it was actually in 2005, Bob Zemeckis' wife were in New York. They saw the Broadway musical, The Producers. And it was an excellent stage adaptation of a movie. And Bob's wife said, hey, did you and Bob ever think about adapting Back to the Future as a musical? And Bob said, well, no, but I'm going to kick that around with Bob. And we thought to ourselves, you know, this is a way to revisit the material in a new format so that it won't get, nobody will think we're redoing the movie.
Sure.
But it will give people another taste of the Back to the Future apple. Because I discovered that when people say they want to see Back to the Future Part 4,
Right.
they're really saying, I want to feel as good as I felt the first time I saw Back to the Future. And the musical does that.
I'm happy to hear there's not going to be a 4. I'm one of those don't mess with perfection type of people. But for the same turn, when I heard there was a musical, I said, oh goodness, I hope it's good. Now, all the reviews have been great. How did you make sure that this musical was going to stand up to all of us super fans who love the movie so much?
I'll tell you why, Angela, because Bob Zemeckis and I controlled the theatrical rights to the show. And if at any point we thought that it was going south and it wasn't going to be any good, we could push that red button and say,
Done.
We're not doing this. So it had to be great, because if it's going to have the Back to the Future name on it, it has to be great. And I have met so many people that would come up to me and say, you know, I didn't think this had a chance, but oh, I was so wrong. This is so good. You guys really pulled this off.
Yeah, actually, you made it work. Now, let's kind of talk about some of those logistics there, because there's a DeLorean you've got to get to. There's lightning on a tower. Like, how are you working with all of this?
So we did all that. We do these illusions that are raise the bar in terms of what you can do in theater. And at the same time, when we sat down to figure out what are we going to keep and lose,
Sure.
there were things that we said, okay, we cannot do the skateboard chase. We can't have a manure truck. But the idea that your lead actor is going to be on a skateboard and do stunts, that's too dangerous. He could break his ankle. He couldn't do that. We couldn't do the terrorist chase at the mall because gunfire, and how are you going to do a car chase?
Right.
So we substituted dramatically something else. Doc gets radiation poisoning from handling the plutonium, so Marty's got to jump in the car and get an ambulance to save his life. So dramatically it all works, but we knew we had to do the DeLorean. It had to go 88 miles an hour. We had to do the clock tower. We had to have lightning. We had to have that clock tower sequence. And I'm not going to tell you exactly how we did it.
Right.
You have to go see it at the show, but we do it, and you'll figure it out when you see it, and you'll go, whoa, they raised the bar. They did this. They pulled it off. And thank goodness we had the people working on the show were all big fans of the movie. And their attitude was, I love this movie. I am not going to screw it up. And everybody put their egos outside the door and they worked together. So we had special effects, we had lighting, sound, stage management. All these people came together, props, to figure out how can we meld all these elements together, production design, and make this illusion work.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be at the Fabulous Fox, September
24th
through October 6th.
Exactly.
So that is going to be so exciting. We're going to circle back to the musical here. We're showing some photos of what those scenes might look like, but I want to go all the way back for a second.
Okay.
So we talked a little bit about, making the movie. Obviously, I think a lot of people who are super fans like me know, but not everybody realizes that Michael J. Fox wasn't who you originally started shooting with.
We wanted Michael J. Fox from the very beginning. Michael J. Fox was doing a television series called Family Ties. And we went to his producer and said, can we have Michael in our movie? And he said, no. He said, we need him in our show. Right. His stage mother, Meredith Baxter Burney, was pregnant at the time. Michael was carrying the show. Okay, so we have to do this without Michael. We had a big, long casting search. And the head of the corporation, MCA, was a big fan of an actor named Eric Stoltz, who had just done a movie at Universal called Mask. And he was convinced that Eric could do anything. We screen tested him and we weren't so sure. And we said, no, we think we can do better. And the head of the studio said to us, I am so sure that Eric Stoltz is going to be great, that if he isn't, you can recast the movie and start over again with somebody else.
He never thought you would do it.
Exactly. Never in a million years did he think that. But we shot for 5.5 weeks with Eric, and the movie wasn't working out the way we wanted it to. We cut the footage together. We showed it to Spielberg. We showed it to Sid Sheinberg, the CEO, and everybody agreed, okay. And we went back to the producer Family Ties, and now Meredith was back on the show. And he said, okay, look, guys, I understand you're up against it. I know that Michael's perfect for this. If Michael will do this with the auspices that he does Family Ties in the day and you guys don't get him until he's done at 6 o'clock in the evening, and he's willing to work a schedule like that, you have my blessing. And
what
Michael,
a crazy schedule.
It was
for
crazy.
him.
He was 22 years old, and he said, I'm 22. I don't need to sleep.
Right.
And that's what we did. It's insane, but we pulled it off.
That is amazing. And then that first movie, there are some little Easter eggs, if you will, that you kind of throw it back to University City in St. Louis.
Exactly.
We talked a little about those yesterday because I knew about the Lions Estate, which is in the movie, and that is because of the Lions that are at
Del Mar.
Right.
Yeah, when right by the U City Hall. So that was the inspiration for that. The Hill Valley Bulldogs sports team, that was named after my junior high school sports team, the Brittany Bulldogs. In the movie, the school colors are maroon and white. In the musical, it's red and white is what it really was at my junior high school. So we finally got that right.
Sure.
The vice principal of U City High School, he was the inspiration for Mr. Strickland.
And I asked you last night, you don't know if he ever knew that he was the inspiration.
I don't know that because when I came back to visit many times that I did, there were people that I wanted to see. He was not on the list.
He was not on that list of people you wanted to see. Well, let's get into, did you know there was going to be a 2 and a 3 of the original movie?
Oh, no, because we had such a hard time getting the first one made. And people said, well, with that ending, surely you knew. And we said, well, no, it's a very satisfying ending, whether there's another movie or not. And Bob Zemeckis said many times, if I knew there was going to be a sequel, we would have never put Jennifer in the car.
Right.
Because when we got to do part 2, we kept going, oh, what are we going to do about Jennifer?
She's already in the car. She has to come.
She has to be in it, and right. And we had made this movie where it said that the future hasn't been written yet. We can't really have Marty say to Jennifer, Jennifer, we're not going to get married. We are not going to have any kids. So there's the solution to the problem. Nothing has to be done about my kids because we don't have any kids.
We don't have any.
But we knew the audience needed to see the kids So we had to go to the future. We had to pay that off.
And Back to the Future 2 happens to be my favorite of the trilogy because there's two Martys and there's two Docs, and I kind of like that. That had to be really kind of high tech at the time.
Yes, it was. It's a well-known time for aficionados of time travel. You know, it's the classic kind of time paradox, the duplication paradox.
Yeah.
Can there be two of you in the same place at the same time? And that was really fun to play around with that stuff. And of course, next month is the 35th anniversary of Back to the Future Part 2.
Yes, and there's going to be showing that in theaters around the world.
That's right. That's right.
I already bought my tickets.
Beautiful. So if you've never seen it on the big screen,
because I haven't,
go see it on the big
see
screen.
It. And I
great.
typically dress in costume here a lot. I've already been Marty from Back to the Future 2 when I was here once. So I'm planning on wearing that costume to the theater
Good
when
for
I
you.
go there as well. But there's a couple of little things in there. Now, you kind of reference the Cubs winning the World Series
Yes.
in that. Was that kind of because you're secretly a Cardinals fan?
Well, no, because the most absurd sports prediction that you could make in the 80s was that the Cubs win the World Series. I mean, and it got a huge laugh. Cubs win World Series.
Right.
So when the Cubs were in the playoffs, I'm thinking to myself,
Did I do this?
First, no. I'm thinking, I can't root for the Cubs because if the Cubs actually win the World Series, the joke won't be funny anymore.
The joke's not fun.
So
well, they ended up winning in 2016.
They did win in
so
2016. And people say, well, you predicted it, right? And I said, well, no, we said 2015, but Doc didn't know about the baseball strike, and that's why he was off.
And that's why he was off one. But also Miami getting a team.
Right. That was an easy prediction, though.
That was an easy one.
That was one where we didn't get we called them the Miami Gators, I think, and it's the Miami Dolphins, of course.
Sure.
But there was a lot of talk about Miami getting a baseball team. So that one wasn't a hard prediction.
And the 3D movies being as big a deal as they are.
Well, they are and they aren't and they are and they aren't. Right?
There's no flying cars, though. I'm really sad about the flying
yeah,
cars.
but you know what I think about that, Angela, is people have enough trouble driving in 2 dimensions.
Sure.
Put them in 3 dimensions. Oh, no.
Now, we're not going to get political at all, and I don't care if you like him or hate him, but I've heard rumors that Biff's Hotel is
based
modeled...
on Donald Trump, yeah.
It is based on Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is based on the Trump Towers.
Yeah, Trump Towers, yeah.
Okay, I always wanted to know if
Trump
that
was
was
always
true.
putting his picture on his hotels, and so we said, okay, yeah, let's
Biffco will do it as well.
Biffco, yeah.
I love it. Now, kind of back to that first movie, you didn't start out with a DeLorean, you started out with a refrigerator.
Correct, very good. You are a
But
big
you
fan.
went DeLorean, but then
Right.
I heard somebody from the movie tried to make you make it the worst car in the history of time, a Mustang.
Well, I'm not gonna stand here and denigrate the Ford Motor Company.
Okay, fine.
I'm not gonna do that. But we picked a DeLorean. First, we decided a car because Bob Zemeckis, the director, said, you know what? To have a refrigerator that Doc has to drive around the back of a pickup truck, it's a lot of logistics. He would have been smart enough to build it into a car.
Sure.
John DeLorean was on trial in August of 1984 when we were in pre-production. So that gave the car an extra added bit of
Yeah.
notoriety. And of course, the car still looks
It still
absolutely
looks like it could
cool.
fly.
It's a
Yeah.
beautiful car. So our product placement guy came to us and said, Ford Motor Company will give you $75,000, which is a lot of money,
Yeah.
day and a half's worth of shooting, if you change the DeLorean to a Mustang. And I looked him right in the eye and I said, Richard, Doc Brown doesn't drive an effing Mustang.
I love that. That works out really well. Now, on that 4D movies that came out, there are some clips of other people who screen tested for various roles.
Yes.
And we've seen some of the footage from when Eric was shooting, but you shot with Eric for like 5 weeks?
5.5 weeks, yeah.
Will any of the rest of that
Someday,
footage...
perhaps.
Okay.
But Eric's a working actor.
Right.
And to put that stuff out there is a disservice to him because the internet is a nasty place.
It really is. And he
you-
played it a little more serious. He
He
went
played
with
it
a
very
more...
seriously.
Yeah.
He actually thought that the story was a tragedy because the world that Marty returns to at the end is not the life that he grew up in. And, you know, it made Leah Thompson crazy to hear him say that. Anyway, we will not put that footage out there because people would look at it and say, "Oh yeah, yeah, it stinks, it sucks." And
Sure, you don't want to do that to him because
you
he's
don't
already...
do that to somebody else. That's not.
No, that's not
a
nice.
good
I
thing
love
to do.
that. Do you ever think back, because there's, talking about just the making of the film and actually the film itself, when the dad finally stands up to Biff, yada, yada. Do you ever think back to what are some choices in my life that might have changed the outcome?
Every day, Angela. Because I think about the serendipity of finding my dad's high school yearbook in the basement in 1980. What if I hadn't found it?
Right.
What if my dad went to a different high school? What if he wasn't the president of his class? There are a gajillion things like that. And the irony of us miscasting the movie with Eric Stoltz is the reason that we got Michael J. Fox in the movie.
Sure.
So this mistake turns out to be a blessing in disguise. So there are all these types of things. You say, okay, the FBI decided they were going to do a sting operation on John DeLorean and plant cocaine and try to,
right.
And he's on trial. And that was one of the inspirations for using the DeLorean in the first place. So all these things that you don't expect end up coming together, and you never know how
right.
certain things in your life, things sometimes that you think are great turn out to be terrible, and things that are terrible turn out to be great. And you just have to not try to predict your own life, because if there's
hard to do.
if there's one law in the universe that can't be violated, it's the law of unintended consequences.
Do you have any words for maybe an aspiring filmmaker that maybe lives right here in St. Louis and they're thinking, I'm going to try to get out, but do you have any words for them?
Well, one thing that is very easy to do today that I couldn't do, anybody can go make a movie with their iPhone.
Right.
It's easy, and,
Yeah.
and there are people that have made movies and shorts, and film was expensive back in the day.
Yeah.
Now digits are really not, they're cheap, they're practically free. So you can hone your skills, but you have to get out there and do it. And I would also say, enhance your communication skills, see a lot of movies, look at the classic movies. If you don't like black and white movies, just forget it. Don't even
go.
Don't even think about this, because if you don't love movies with a passion, it has to be your passion,
Yeah.
because that's what kept us going. 42 rejections, but
It's a lot of
you have to have a passion.
I love that. Now, when you go and watch Back to the Future the musical, take the Fabulous Fox stage, as a local guy, is that going to mean something a little extra special?
Absolutely, because I used to go to the Fox Theater and see movies there. It was a movie theater before it became the Fabulous Fox. I don't exactly remember what movies I saw there, because across the street where Powell Hall is, that used to be called the St. Louis Theater, and I went to the movies there too. So I get confused which movies I saw in which theater, but I did go to the Fox Theater a lot to see first-run movies back when I was in high school. So the idea that I get to be there in the audience and then get up on stage and say a few words after the curtain call, I'm really excited about that.
I'm really excited to see it. For somebody who might be watching who's thinking, I love the movies, I'm not sure I want to go, why would you tell them to go check out the musical?
I am involved with this to make sure that Back to the Future, the musical, correctly represents Back to the Future. And I had a lot of people, in fact, when we won the Olivier Award, which is the British equivalent of the Tony Award for Best New Musical, we were presented with the award by actress Hannah Waddington from, God, what's the show on Apple? Lasso, Ted Lasso,
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so she's on that. And she said to me, oh, I'm the biggest Back to the Future fan. I said, well, have you seen the musical? She said, no, I haven't seen it because I'm afraid that if I see it, it'll ruin my... I said, Hannah, go. You go see it. If you don't like it, I will buy your ticket for you.
You're that serious about it.
I said, you're going to love this. That's why I'm involved. She's seen it 3 times now.
Oh,
So-
I love that. So
so-
somebody who loves it.
Yes,
The movies
yeah.
are gonna love the musical.
And here's the other thing. If you've never seen the movie, you can still go and you will love it. And I've had people come up to me and say, I am so glad I didn't see the movie because I didn't know how the story was going to turn out.
Oh, because they didn't know the ending, so
Right.
they were actually
They were
surprised.
like, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Right.
So it works no matter who you are. So if you're parents, you can bring your kids. It's a totally family-oriented show. You can bring your parents. You can bring your friends. You can bring your
I brought
enemies.
my dad last night to
All
meet
right.
with you and watch the movie. I kind of love the little connection there because obviously he
There's
showed me
lots
the
of
movie.
families come together and they have these conversations because so many kids or grown-up kids, they don't know how their parents first met. And it's a really good question to ask. It's a really good conversation
I think that
starter.
might be part of the reason why I love the movie so much. My parents did go to the same high school. And so I kind of always think back, like, was my dad quite the player he says he was? Like, you know what I mean? Like, was that true? What would have happened if I would go back in time? Because I look just like my mom. So, like, what? You know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
like, I love how that works out. Now, when you look back at, like, the movies and such with 2024 eyes, I know you've gotten a little bit of pushback on Marty McFly coming up with the Johnny Be Good. But that was...
No. It's a joke.
Right.
And the people that it's not a documentary, you know?
Right.
I mean, if we didn't have Chuck Berry and we used Elvis, people would say, well, you're being a racist because Chuck Berry was the father of rock and roll. So it's like, it had to be Chuck Berry.
And you said you ran it by him, right?
And we went to Chuck Berry. We had to make a deal with Chuck Berry. If Chuck Berry had a problem with it, he wouldn't have given us permission.
Right.
You know, so it's like, he got the joke. He said, yeah, this is a tribute to me. Of course. Yes.
Of course,
do
it's
it.
great.
Yeah.
I love it. I would talk to you all day long, but I'm getting the cue sign that we have to wrap it up.
Okay.
So everybody needs to go to
Yes.
Fabulous Fox.
They do.
That is coming up. We're going to put that graphic there on your screen for you right now, September 24th through October the 6th. BackToTheFutureTheMusical.com. You can always go there as well. Is there anything else you feel like we should be letting people know about this musical?
Well, as I say, the cast of the tour, they are absolutely fabulous at the Fabulous Fox. But no, they are really good. They've worked very hard. So we've got 3 simultaneous productions right now. So if you're not here in St. Louis, it's still playing on Broadway. It's playing in London. It'll open in Tokyo in April.
I mean, this is how you know you're good.
And the tour is going to Nebraska, and it's going to Des Moines, and then it's coming out to the West Coast. So we're going to be around for a while. But come see it at the Fabulous Fox if you're here.
I know, I've already got my tickets. I'm ready to go. Thank you again, Bob, so much for you. Have no idea how little tiny Angela is so excited got to meet you last night. I think I calmed down a little bit today, but I'm still really geeked out about this. Thank you so much. You can always follow the Fabulous Fox, see what's coming up their way, and you can always follow Back to the Future to see what might be going on. We have
BackToTheFuture.com, which tells you everything about the franchise, and BackToTheFutureMusical.com, which tells you everything about the musical.
So you can have both ways. I love it so much. You really could deep dive on Bob and Robert, actually, and find out so many fun little facts about you guys. So definitely do that after you follow them. Connect with us on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Instagram. Let us know what you think. We want to hear from you. And don't forget to download the STL TV Now app and watch us anytime, anywhere. That's going to do it for the Daily Mix, but keep it right here on STL TV and Experience St. Louis. I'll see you next time.